let me transition into something we wanted to talk to everybody about. There's when you get the diagnosis, it just feels like the whole world just fell on your head. And sometimes it can actually feel a little bit of a relief where you're like, now I know what it is, right? So everybody sort of has a different response to the diagnosis, but it's a lot because now you have decisions to make. You have to take in complex information and decide what therapies you're going to choose. I have heard stories from patients who said that they got a couple of pamphlets of different DMT drugs and they were asked to choose, like, oh my gosh, I can't believe that a neurologist could present the information in that way with such little support, because this is a big decision. Then there's the cost of care and insurance, and then whether or not you can work. So there's really a lot to adjust to. And one of the most important things is, from a healthcare perspective, you've got to assemble your team. You've got to figure out who are your team members, who's your neurologist, who's physical therapy, is there an MS nurse, are there other people on the team that need to be present, right? So that you feel comfortable that you're in good hands with your medical team. But what I want to help you understand is that even though your symptoms maybe came on suddenly, MS doesn't happen overnight. There's a long timeline behind the process over many years, if not decades, where the immune system is getting a little wonky, a little dysregulated. Different factors from the environment come in and start winding up the immune system in a not so good way. And so you probably have genetics that favor MS. You might have other people in your family with MS or other autoimmune diseases. To me, it's kind of the same. And then different things that may happen to you over your lifetime, even things that you maybe don't think are important, whether or not you were breastfed, whether or not you were delivered by C-section or normal delivery, whether or not you took a lot of antibiotics throughout your life. Did you have infections? Did you have stressful periods? Did you have a stressful childhood? We talk a lot about childhood trauma and its impact on adult health. Very clear connection there, and lots of studies coming out on this. So there's all of these things, hits to your immune system along the timeline of your life. And that is what drives an autoimmune process forward. So yes, it may feel like your symptoms came on all of a sudden, but this has probably been brewing under the surface for quite some time, where you didn't have enough symptoms or abnormalities on your labs for us to go searching for it. And MS isn't just limited to the neurologic and immune system. It hits other systems like your hormone systems, the GI system, urinary system. You want to have a baby? Now you might have to go see a high-risk OB specialist. So everything is connected. And that's why, again, you need to think about who your team is. And in functional medicine, we talk a lot about systems of function in the body. In Western medicine, we divide up the body into organs. In functional medicine, which is a holistic system of medicine, we divide up the body into different functions. So MS will impact the hormone system. It'll impact the energy production systems like the mitochondria. It'll hit the gut and the microbiome. So it's a disease that hits on everything. So when you see a neurologist and just work with DMTs, that's an important approach. But it's not all of it, because how are you addressing all of those different dysfunctions in the microbiome, the gut, the hormones, and other systems? So this is where lifestyle medicine comes in. And we are big proponents of using all your tools, because time is brain and spinal cord, which means the faster you act, the sooner you get on the train, the more function you'll preserve. And if some of you are young, this is so important. And if you're older and more progressed, it's still important, because we want to slow things down. So Katie, tell me a little bit about you and how this was a big, major life-altering event for you.
It sure was. And I'm so glad that you mentioned about how MS takes time to develop, because learning that actually helped me calm down and get out of that panic. So it is a major life-altering event. It's a process. It took us a long time to get sick. it will take some time to get well, but there are things that work. And, you know, my diagnosing neurologist, well-intentioned, lovely gentleman, said, take a DMT, pray, and hope. And that was pretty much all he had for me. So I met this person at the time when I needed it most, and she got me on the right path. So there were lots of decisions to be made. I had to learn how to stop and breathe. I had to learn how to research. I had to take time to choose my path. I decided to go on a DMT and do lifestyle. Some people choose one path. It's really your choice, but you want to think about the possible outcomes of that choice and be okay with whatever you choose. I see my MS diagnosis now also as a wake-up call and an invitation to learn more about myself. And, you know, for many of us, and Dr. Susan, you can talk about this too, we're very outward facing in our care and our energy. And what happens is when we get this diagnosis, all of a sudden we have to actually come into better balance and learn how to take care of ourselves in a new way. And that's something that's very, very common amongst our community. And it's a big shift. So I definitely want to impart that message today that it's not an easy shift, but it's really important. And MS manifests uniquely, like Dr. Payrovi is saying, in each of us. And so the sooner we get to know our MS, the sooner we can find our pathway to better health. So just really also one other piece of advice I would give that was instrumental in me finding my way and where to start was I got a full neuropsych evaluation, and they were able to really tell me about the strengths I had cognitively. They also talked to me about some potential triggers, stress triggers, and helped me learn how to manage my stress. And so those were some really important things I did early on that I would definitely consider having on your radar.